All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Nicole, and welcome back to our English class. I hope you had a chance to stretch your legs and be prepared for today's session. So, as you can see on the screen, we are continuing with our English for Travel series. Now, we have touched on some important areas already, like getting around the airport, checking into your hotel, and using public transport. Today, as highlighted, we are going to focus in something we all do quite often when we are exploring a new place, which is ordering food and drinks. Think about it, whether you are grabbing a quick bite at a local eatery in the place you're visiting, after a day or of island hopping, for example, or trying out a new dish in a different country, being able to clearly communicate what you want is very essential, of course. So we're going to spend the next part of our lesson specifically on the pronunciation of common words and phrase. No, we're going to focus on phrases only for this time. So for those, I know words, I'm sorry, words or terms that you will encounter uh in food establishments, in restaurants, something like that. So yeah, this will help you feel more confident and make sure you get exactly what your taste buds are craving. So get ready to listen carefully and practice along with me. So let's make ordering food and drinks in English a breeze for you. A very simple thing for you. All right? Are we clear on that? Okay. All right. So let's start with this. Of course, we always ask, why do we learn this, right? Well, it's a really important question to ask ourselves with any kind of learning. As you can see here, there are several key reasons why focusing on the pronunciation of food and drink vocabulary is very beneficial to you, especially if you're a traveler. Especially for you as English language learners who might be traveling or interacting with English speakers. First and foremost, of course, we learn something like this because for clear communication. Clear communication is the goal. Because when you pronounce words accurately, it significantly reduces the chances of being misunderstood. So, thinking about how frustrating it can be when there's a mix up simply because of a sound, that would be very frustrating, especially if the other person is not, you know, it's not under is not understanding what you're trying to say. Secondly, it's about getting what you want. Whether it's a specific seafood dish you have been looking forward to try in the particular place that you are traveling, or a particular type of juice, clear pronunciation ensures you receive the correct, order. Then there's the aspect of building confidence. Well, the more comfortable you are with your pronunciation, the more at ease, of course, you will feel when speaking English in real life situations, like ordering in a restaurant. So that confidence is invaluable. Showing respect is another important point. You make an effort to pronounce words correctly, even if it's not perfect, and this demonstrates, of course, your respect for the language around the people you are communicating with. Well, it's a small gesture that can go a long way. Of course, we also want to avoid embarrassment, very personal. We've all been there, that moment when you mispronounce something and it leads to an awkward situation. I've also tried that kind of, I was also able to experience that kind of embarrassment, and I don't want to experience that again. That's why I tried to really enhance my English skills. Finally, we have here, of course, talking about enhancing, perhaps most broadly, we focus on pronunciation so that we can, enhance our overall language skills. It makes you more attuned to the sounds of English, which of course benefits your listening comprehension and your speaking fluency in general. So, as we dive into the specific vocabulary for today, keep these reasons in mind, everyone. It's not just about, memorizing words. knowing what we are going to say, but it's about empowering yourselves to communicate effectively and confidently in English, especially when you're out exploring and enjoying all the wonderful things around the world, or any specifically in any English speaking place. What are the things that they have to offer? So, any initial thoughts or experiences related to these points, feel free to share in the chat. Let's move on immediately for our first set of useful words on ordering and food. What's that? Ordering food and drinks. Now, there are five, no, six, I'm just gonna say there are different contexts that I've included for this, for the topic ordering food and drinks. Let's start with A, seating and reservation items. Terms, I'm sorry. So these are the things you might say or hear right as you arrive at a restaurant. Okay, let's go through each one. I'll say the word or phrase, and then we will look at the pronunciation tips. Remember, I want you to listen carefully. For now, you can listen. In a moment, we'll practice saying them together, of course, at your own comfortable spaces. Okay, first, reservation. Again, reservation. In many restaurants, especially during busy times like dinners or weekends, it's a good idea for you to make a reservation. This means you've called ahead or booked online to secure a table for a specific time. Say, for example, you might use this in a sentence. You can say, you can tell other person, the receptionist, I think, you can say to them, I have a reservation for 2 at 7 p.m., something like that. Or, do you accept any reservations? All right. So here, if you're planning to eat at the popular beachfront restaurant for sunset, making a reservation is often recommended. Okay? That's how you do it. So pronunciation tips, pronunciation wise, you should remember to stress on that middle syllable V. Reservation. So the syllable stress is on V. Basically, you say it as reservation. All right. You don't make the sounds around it too weak or rushed, though. So they are equally, they're almost equally stressed, except the third syllable. So reservation. There's also a buzzing sound there. Remember when I say buzzing sound, what kind of sound is included in there? The letter Z sound. Z. So if there's a buzzing sound, there's a letter Z. Okay? As you can see, if you try to look at the IPA transcription, there's a letter Z. There's a letter Z here. So you try to say, instead of reservation, you say reservation. Okay? Are we clear on that? All right. Next, we have table. Again, table. This is a very basic word, but pronunciation is, of course, the key. We try to include the most common terms that you might encounter as you go along with your, traveling. But yeah, going back, table. Well, table, as we understand it, it's a surface for dining. It's a piece of furniture where you sit to eat your meal, right? So when you try to ask someone about this one, you could say, "Could we have a table by the window?" Or the host might say, "Your table is ready," especially if you have a reservation. That long A sound in the first syllable is very important. Te, A, diphthong, right? Are you familiar with diphthong? I've already mentioned it many, many times already. Diphthong is when a one vowel sound smoothly glides to another vowel sound. So here, the diphthong would be this one. That one, the one I highlighted, EI. That's a diphthong, vowel sound plus vowel sound. All right? So that particular diphthong here is long. So you say table, not table, table. Okay? We say it as like that. All right. Next, we have booth. A booth is a type of seating arrangement often found in more casual restaurants. It usually consists of a table with benches and two or three sides, all those things. They offer a bit more privacy in a way. So, pronunciation wise, well, again, I'd like to go back. Booth is a semi-private bench seat. Okay. All right. Pronunciation wise, there's a long oo sound, so booth, because there's a usually. Remember this one, the one I highlighted. Usually, if the spelling involves two O's, standing beside each other, you usually say it in a long oo sound. Okay, you don't say it as, for example, the word booth. You say it as booth. There's a long oo sound there. You didn't say booth, right? You say booth. Okay, that's how you try to pronounce this particular word. Very easy, actually. Okay. So, despite that, all those things, another pronunciation tip is that you make sure that you pronounce the final th sound. So this one, that's the IP transcription of a one of the versions of th sounds. There's two versions there of th sounds, right? The voiced and voiceless. Now that particular one that I highlight in the transcription of both, that is a voiceless. Unfortunately, that is a voiceless. How do you call that? Voiceless thing. Anyway, when we try to say the word, there should be no voices vibrated when you try to arrange, when you try to touch your throat. Okay? Well, right. All right. So that is booth. Moving on to host or hostess. This is the person who usually greets you when you enter a restaurant and usually shows you to your table. Sometimes it's a host, you know, they are male, and sometimes a hostess or female, but the job is, of course, typically the same. It's just that they have different ways to be addressed. All right. So, pronunciation wise, host or hostess, of course, remember to emphasize on the first part, host, and then s ending should be soft, not a hard s sound. Okay, hostess, hostess, host, host. There's also a diphthong sound there. Oh, you host, hostess. Okay. All right. Finally, we have menu. So this is the list that tells you what food and drinks the restaurant offers and how much they cost. Of course, you'll often ask, "Do we see the menu, please?" When you pronounce it, remember those two syllables. Men-u, M-E-N plus Y-O-U. Men-u. The second part syllable sounds like the pronoun you. Of course, it's not menu, but menu. Okay? Menu. Just like how it is um, pronounced looking at the IP transcription. Menu. Okay? List of food and drinks. There's two syllables. The final you like you. Okay? Menu. All right, everyone. Now that we've gone through the meaning and some, pronunciation tips for each of these terms, it's time for us to practice. It's time for us, of course, to practice saying them. Here, I'm going to say each word, and I'd like you to type it into the chat as you pronounce it silently or aloud. I'm basically holding it at the hope that you're trying to practice on your own in your own comfortable spaces. I hope so. Now focus on the stressed syllable and those specific sounds that we have discussed earlier. Then we try to use these terms in a sentence. Let's start with reservation. Okay? I've provided some sentences as well. All right. Okay, going back, let's have a practice real basically. Okay. Reservation. I made a reservation for 2 at 7 p.m. I made a reservation for 2 at 7 p.m. Next, we have table. Table. Could we get a table near the window? Could we get a table near the window? Booth. We prefer a booth for more privacy. Hostess. The hostess will show you to your seat. Can I see the menu, please? Menu. Okay. Next we have in food categories we have this set of words. Well, going back, let's just read the different terms in the previous video with Jay. We have reservation, table, booth, host or hostess, and of course, menu. Menu, please. All right. Okay. Well, moving on. For the second set of table, you are going to do some tasks. Okay. So for the second part of our discussion, which is on the second context for this one, which is on food categories and common dishes. Sorry, this is almost mentioned another word. But yeah, dishes, food categories and common dishes. So this section, it will help you understand the different parts of meal and some common types of food you might see on menu. There's only five, so let's start right away. First is appetizer. Again, appetizer. Think of appetizers as little introductions to the main meal. They are engaged to what you are appetite. You might see things like shrimp cocktail, spring rolls, or the calamari listed as, appetizers on a menu. So that's a how do you call that? That's a bad thing. Well, that's normal. You get drunk at your own comfortable spaces. So let's try to give him a slack. Okay. Appetizer. Well, since we're talking about appetizer, let's talk about its appearance. Stress the syllable up. Okay. Appetizer. One more time. Appetizer. Next, appetizer. Okay. Are we clear on that? Okay. So I think everything's clear on that. But yeah, going back, we shall move on to the second one. Andrew. Andre. Sorry for that. Andre. Again, Andre. It's a main dish, especially in American English. Andre. As I mentioned, this is usually the main dish in American English. When you are looking at a menu and see the entrees section, that's where you will find the primary sources or courses like a fish fillet, steak, or pasta dish. If you are in a restaurant in the US and you order an entree, you will be getting your main meal, which is why it sounds a bit different just because you're mindful that in some other English speaking countries like the UK or the Australia, entree can sometimes refer to a starter or put dish served before the main course. What American would say an appetizer. So pay attention to the context of the menu. Okay. Let's have the next word. Main course or term, I mean. Main course. Next is main course. Now, this term is usually universal in English. It clearly refers to the central dish of your meal after you have had your, appetizer. If you ordered one. Well, the main course is what you'll usually look forward to. It could be a grilled fish, a chicken adobo, sorry for a chicken adobo, or a popular meat here. Main mouse on table. All right, main course. Okay. This term is pretty universal, you know, universal English, since it clearly refers to the central dish of your meal. After you have had your appetizer, if you ever had one, in the main course is what you know, usually look forward to. It could be grilled fish, it could be chicken adobo, which is popular Filipino dish. Okay? A vegetarian curry or anything that's considered a primary out of the meal, you immediately pronounce it. Okay? Pronounce um dessert, dessert properly. All right. Then we have here dessert, I'm sorry. Dessert. Who doesn't love dessert? Well, this is the sweet course that typically comes after you have finished your I'm sorry for that. Your main course. Think of high things like the derm, cake full, salad, or perhaps some halo-halo, which is a popular Filipino shaved ice cream. Remember the stress is on the second syllable. Zori is actually UK. Well, yeah, we do that. Okay? All right. Finally, we have. Oh, I'm sorry. We almost forgot how to pronounce it properly. How we talked on pronunciation wise. Dessert. Well, there's a buzzing sound there. The letter S on spelling is that soft or strong inside the body of a host or hostess. So, finally, we have salad. A salad is generally a cold dish that features vegetables, often, clearly greens like lettuce, along with other ingredients like tomatoes, sun, sun, fonte. Well, it is salad. It is salad. Solid is salad with a short s on there in both parts, like the a in val. Okay. All right. So these are the five particular commonly words used in, how do you call that? In ordering and food drinks, in food categories, and common dishes. Oh, sorry, dishes for that's what I mean, dishes. Food categories and common dishes. All right? Okay. All right. Given that, let's have a time to practice. Let's practice. Let's start with this. Same pattern, same process. Appetizer. We would ju- would you like an appetizer before your meal? Okay. All right. Next we have entree. Again, entree. The steak is our most popular entree. The steak is our most popular entree. Next, main course. Again, main course. The main course comes with a side salad. The main course comes with a side salad. Next, dessert. What do you recommend for dessert? What do you recommend for dessert? Lastly, salad. I'll have a chicken salad with no onions. I'll have a chicken salad with no onions. Okay? All right, let's immediately move on to another context, which is drinks and beverages, letter C. All right, let's turn our attention to another part of the English for Travel series. When you are out and about, of course, especially in a beautiful and sometimes hot place um like the place you have in your mind. That's hot. That's hot. Um well, despite that, staying refreshed is always the key, my lady. Knowing how to pronounce the names of different drinks will not only ensure you get what you want, but also make the whole experience smoother and more enjoyable. So we have a few common terms here that you likely encounter on menus or when a server asks about your, drink order. Let's go through each one in detail and pay close attention to the pronunciation tips that are provided. Okay? First up is beverage. Beverage. This is a more formal or umbrella term that includes pretty much any liquid you can drink. Beverage. It's a general term for any liquid, whether it's juice, it's coffee, it's water. it's alcohol. Those are what we considered as beverages. Okay. All right. Pronunciation wise, pronunciation wise, the emphasis should be on the first syllable, bev, and the ending age should sound like itch, similar to the end of the word village or bridge. So say it with me silently or aloud for now. Beverage. Notice that middle sound air is quite soft. Beverage. One more time, beverage. Okay? Next, we have a very common choice here, sparkling water. This is the water that has been statistically infused with carbon dioxide, give it those characteristics, bubbles, those things. So it's a popular alternative to still water and is often served with a slice of lemon or lime. Now you might ask for sparkling water, please, or do you have some sparkling water if you try to really use this in a sentence in real world, in authentic contexts. Okay? Pronunciation wise, it is a clear ing's ending, right? Ing? Okay, in sparkling. Just like the separate word ing, not separate word, but a separate sound in a separate word. That's what I mean. So when we ended them not having any kind of fighting, the main stress falls on the first part. What is that? It would be, how do you call that? Sorry for that. It could be sparkling water. Okay? As simple as that. Carbonated water. So it has been, again, artificially infused with carbon dioxide. So here we put emphasis on spark. So sparkling water. Sparkling water. First syllables of each word. Sparkling water. Okay? We have its counterpart for sparkling water, and that is still water. Still water. This is simply non-carbonated water. The regular, like me, like you, we all drink water without any bubbles. Okay? So when you order water, you might be asked sparkling or still. If you have just one to plain any on the table, maybe that would be very much highly appreciated. Okay? Pronunciation wise, you stress on bev. Soft final H in the last sound. So Beverly. I'm sorry, not Beverly, but like beverage. I'm sorry for that. Beverly is a name. Beverage. Again, beverage. 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 Okay? Beverage. All right. Um Next to this is, I've mentioned about still water. This is simply non-carbonated water, the regular drinking water without any bubbles. So when you order water, you might be asked sparkling or still. If you just want plain water, of course you'd say still water, please. The crucial pronunciation point here is to not drop that final E sound in still. Okay? You make sure you pronounce it clearly so it's still water. Again, that second water is often describes or softens to water. All right? Our fourth term here is something many of us enjoy, especially in, a tropical climate or traveling to a tropical climate like the Philippines. So juice, this is a kind of liquid extracted from fruits or vegetables, usually, or you can just, use a packet with the powder inside. You just, stir, put it in a pail and then mix it well. Well, yeah, juice. Again, juice. It's very easy. It's a very easy explanation. You just, when ordering, you might say, I'd like a mango juice, please. Pronunciation requires a long O sound, like the O in double O in food. So there's a long O sound there. And it ends with distinct S sound. So it's juice. Not Jew, but juice. Okay? Juice. You make sure it's not a softer Z sound at the end, but yeah, it's a hissing sound. Anyway, finally, we have alcohol here. This refers to any beverage that contains ethanol. You might see a section on the menu for alcohol alcoholic beverages, which could include local breweries like Senator Miguel, who wines, so spirits. When pronouncing Alcord, when we try to pronounce that, okay, you might see a section on the menu for alcoholic beverages, which could include local beers like San Miguel. Wines or spirits. When promoting alcohol, the stress is on the first syllable all, which, which of course you be careful not to add any extra vowel sounds between the E and key sound. It should flow relatively smoothly. Alcohol. Say something alcohol. Of course, alcohol. That's how I say it. All right. Okay. This is the third set of words: beverage, sparkling water, still water, juice, and alcohol. As usual, let's have a time to practice. Same pattern, same process. Beverage. What kind of beverages do you have? Sparkling water. I'll have a bottle of sparkling water, please. Still water? It's just a glass of still water, thank you. I have a rough idea, but yeah. Juice. Can I get a French? I'm no French. Like a fresh juice for you. Are you down for that? Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on with another context, which is on utensils and tableware. So when you're ordering, your delicious food arrives, you will need these items to eat it. Okay? Imagine you've just ordered a delicious grilled fish, a local specialty. When your dish arrives, you're likely to be presented with fork and a knife. Remember the fork um with its how do you call it? With its prongs is for holding and bringing the fish to your mouth, while the knife, which has a silent letter K, it is, you should be careful cutting away the bones and separating the tender meat. Okay, we do not do that here. We respect the body of the dead. Okay. Now, let's say you also ordered a side of a flavorful Filipino soup, for example, or a soup from other country you're visiting. For that, you will definitely need a spoon, right? It's rounded shape. It's perfect for scooping up the broth and the pieces of vegetables and meat. So, spoon. You might request, excuse me, could I get a spoon? Remember that long oo sound here? Spoon, not spoon. Not spoon, but spoon. Okay? All right. Now, let's say you also ordered the side of any kind of term. For that, you'll definitely need a spoon. A rounded shape is perfect for scooping up the broth and pieces of vegetables and meat. So you might request sentences like, "Excuse me, could I get a spoon?" That is something. So that is some example. Okay. Throughout your meal, especially if you're enjoying some messy but delicious food, you will be glad to have a napkin. Napkin is very handy, whether it's simple paper one or no paper. Or is anyone using that kind of napkin? But yeah, you might ask the server to for an extra one by saying, "Could I have another napkin, please?" So you stress on the first syllable nap. Finally, all of your wonderful food will be served on plate. From your appetizer of truth, spring rolls to your main course of grilled fish and your side of rice. It will all come presented on a plate. You might even compliment the presentation by saying, "This looks delicious on a power plate." Thinking about how these utensils and tableware are in the context of ground. Um, well, thank you. It's a good initiative you have there. Well, pronunciation wise, you might even come home, compliment the pronunciation by saying, "This will come home, but finally all of your wonderful food will be served on a plate." From your appetizer of the something, you focus, your food will be served. There's a hate train here, okay? Anyway, let's focus on the screen only for now. Okay? So all of you wonderful foods that you've tried, plate is from your appetite of fresh wrong how do you call it, rolls. You do that, okay? All right. So that is it. For this one, we have fork, knife, spoon, napkin, and plate. They're gatekeeper. Now, teaching about these utensils and tableware in the crowd of a real man can make your pronunciation or being able to clear um trust these cases, these flowers. So you use small cloths or paper for special wedding. Okay? Because pronunciation wise fork, there's a strong final K sound here and a schwa sound. Okay? Alright. Next is knife. Knife. Okay. Knife is the next one. It can be very hard for this one. Let's try to, you know, just say we are misunderstanding something for Nick and for Mama. Alright? Whether it's a simple paper or one or more traditional clothing, this is essential. It's essential for keeping your hands and face clean. You might ask about how much servant and any songrim by saying could Haya have a similar another pin? You stress on that first part nap. Okay, are we getting on that? Are we clear? But yeah, anyway, those are the very first words for this sentence. All right, let's start with the first one. Fork. Again, fork. One more time, fork. Well, yeah, fork. We all know this is tools with prongs or pointy bits on the head for cutting. Are we all good with that? Okay. Now, this is pronunciation wise. Sorry for that. Excuse me. Well, as you've noticed, for there's a strong final K sound there and a short schwa sound for. Now, let's say you also ordered a side of, any kind of food. For me, that you'll definitely need a spoon. A rounded shape is perfect for shopping and for the broth and the pieces of together. That long oo sound spoon is a sipyon. Okay? Throughout your meal, especially if you're enjoying some way, but you know, some way in a messy way, but delicious seafood, you will always be glad to have a clear napkin, wishes hand in hand, whether you it's a simple one of the bad. Okay, next is this one. Let's have a practice drill. Of course, it is very important that we consistently practice the particular terms that we have learned for the particular session. Okay? Enough. Enough. Knife. Knife. Be careful with that sharp knife. Next, spoon. You'll need a spoon for the soup. Napkin. Could I get another napkin, please? Plate. The waiter award or cleared our empty plates. Okay. First, we have two. Sorry for that. We have two most terms that essentially mean the same thing, check or bill. Now, these refer to the slip of a paper that shows the most commonly here amount we have recorded. Okay? That's how it is. Pronunciation wise, there's short E, crisp P sound. So check, bill. It's very easy. Next, we have tip. Extra money for good service. That's tip. This is an extra amount of money you voluntarily leave for the new to show your appreciation for their service. While tipping customs can vary quite a bit around for real here. Yes, as um as someone who's responsible of many things, a tip if you've discovered good service. I may not know something you might ask someone is customary to have a little chat here, whether you might say to her next to the definition. Okay? All right. Then we have here continuing, we have receipt. There's a silent letter there, P. We don't say receipt, but receipt. Okay? Are you clear on that? Okay. Pronunciation wise, we silent P and then we stress on second syllable. Are we clear on that? All right. That's for this one. Finally, I think that's not the final one yet. Second to the final. Credit card can you be used to pay prominently or electronically? Maybe that's it. Okay, so let's start with let's have cash. This refers to physical money in the form of banknotes and coins. While electronic payments are common, it's usually used to have cash in hand, especially for your mail substitution. Be careful not to clash close with class members so that everything is fearful, just like the other day. Okay? All right. For this session, for this table, we've talked about check our bill, tip, receipt, credit card, and. Okay? All right. Okay, those are the things that we have discussed so far. So next we have the fifth context, which is on payment and service terms. All right. Let's focus on that important set of vocabulary ingredients on, payments and services. It's very important. Meaning here is receipt for total amount of pay. Well, pronunciation wise, you check clear T sound, like bill and short E sound. So I'm gonna try to find who did this. Would that be fine? All right. Next is tip. Again, next is tip. So basically, tip is extra money for a good service. That's tip. Pronunciation wise, there's a short E sound like bit, hit, those things. And then, of course, he was not hitting me or anything. Okay? He does not do that. So just follow any kind of pronunciation tips I've provided to you. All right? Okay. Next here is the verbs is our where was all those things. We are, how do you call that? We're excited to do that one. Okay? So for this one, check our bill, tip, receipt, credit card, and cash. All right, with that in mind, let's have a time to practice. Let's practice this one. Let's have a practice drill. Same pattern, same process. So we do that. Are we clear on this one? We do that, all right? We try to really say those words, okay? All right. Let's have the first one. Check our bill. Can we get the check, please? Or could I have the bill, please? Next is tip. Don't forget to leave a tip for the server. Don't forget to leave a tip for the server. Next, receipt. Could I have a receipt, please? Could I have a receipt, please? Next, credit card. Can I pay with a credit card? Can I pay with a credit card? Cash. Do you accept cash or, you know, card only? Do you accept cash or card only? All right. And we are finally on the last context for, using um for ordering food and drinks vocabulary for English for Travel series. Let's have the last context, which is on ingredients and dietary terms. Starting with the first one, vegetarian. Again, vegetarian. So this term, it describes someone who chooses not to eat, you know, meat, poultry, or even fish. So if you follow a vegetarian diet, you will be looking for dishes in the menu that are specifically marked as vegetarian that you do not know certain any meat here in, oh, not here, but like in places you've gone through, you might find delicious food curries or noodle dishes that are vegetarian friendly. So the pronunciation here, it has five syllables, and the main stress is on the third syllable, vegetarian, vegetarian. You pay attention to the short J sound there in the first syllable. That's him. In IPA transcription, its form is like a J, letter J jar. Okay, so but basically they are just the Y. Y. Okay. All right. Knowing this, that's how you say vegetarian. Next, we have vegan. This goes a step farther than vegetarianism. A vegan person avoids all animal products, basically, which means it's more intense. It means no more meat, no more poultry, fish, but also no dairy like milk, cheese, and eggs. And sometimes even honey or gelatin. If you are vegan, you will need to carefully check the ingredients or dishes. The pronunciation was the four long E sound here in the first syllable, vegan. Vegan. Okay? Like the E in short sound, vegan. Alright? Then that's for vegan. For person avoiding all animal products. Next we have gluten free. Gluten is a protein, as we know, gluten is a protein found in grains like wheat, barley, and rye. For people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, consuming gluten can cause any health problems. Therefore, they need to eat gluten free food. So, when you see gluten free on a menu, it means the dish has been prepared without these ideas, these ingredients. So, for the pronunciation part, we just basically do that gluten free food without gluten for allergy. But yeah, this is it. Okay. Gluten free. You know, we need to eat gluten free food, those things. We can do that. We can use it in different sentences. All right. For the pronunciation of gluten, remember it's gluten with a short sound in the middle. Ten. Gluten. Gluten. Okay? That's good. Gluten free. Free, very, very simple, very easy to pronounce. Free. There's a letter, there's a book about it. Okay? Free. Okay. Okay. That's free. Gluten free. Again, gluten free. And the last fourth term is dairy. Dairy. This refers to milk and all the products made from milk, such as cheese, butter, cream, yogurt, and ice cream. Basically, almost everything. We have our very dairy. Dairy, okay? Milk and milk based products. So there's a long air sound in the first middle. Dairy. Dairy. Our fourth term is dairy. This refers to milk and all the products made from milks. If you have a dairy allergy or lactose intolerant, try to seek professional medical help. But yeah, dairy. Our fourth term is dairy. This refers to milk and all the products made from milk, such as our cheese, buttercream, yogurt, and ice cream on all those things. So if you have a dairy allergy or are you lactose intolerant, you'll need to avoid these items. Okay? So that the marriage can go along successfully. All right. The pronunciation is a long dear sound there. So the first syllable like air. But yeah, we just followed you, um, sir. Okay. Again, the ingredients and dietary terms include vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, very dairy and delicious, allergies. Basically, this is negative reactions to foods. I'm sorry, what's food? All right, because that's allergies. Okay, that's allergies. These are the adverse reactions that some people have to specific foods. Common food allergies include nuts, shell, eggs, and dairy. It is absolutely crucial to inform your server about any allergies you have before you order. You may say, I have several food allergies I am allergic to. The pronunciation starts with a stressed short sound, like in cut, especially followed by and then then in the final supply. So the pronunciation starts with a stressed short sound, like in cut, followed by and then final syllable jizz, which sounds like the word kiss, but with a short j sound here beginning. So it's all alperes. All right. Okay. Now again, for this set of table, we have vegetarian, vegan, gluten free, dairy, allergies. All right. Okay. And I think let's immediately hop on to practice drill. It's time to practice, everyone. Let's start with this one. Vegetarian. I'd like to see the vegetarian options. I'd like to see the vegetarian options. So here you're just basically gonna read the sentence with me. Just a short practice, because consistent practice is always the key. All right? It's always the key for you know knowing more about your past. Okay? Again, vegetarian. I'd like to see the vegetarian options. Vegan. She's vegan, so no cheese or eggs. Gluten free. Do you have any gluten free bread? Another gluten free. Do you have any gluten free or eggs? Next is not that one. Yeah, dairy. I'm allergic to dairy products. I'm allergic to dairy products. And lastly, gluten allergies. Let the waiter know if you have any allergies. Let the waiter know if you have any if you have any allergies. Is that true? Is it something like that? So we try to think about the context first and then try to act accordingly in the context. There's so much that I put pride onto, so be proud also. Okay? All right. Now to check, these are the terms that we've locked for today. Let's have first one, reservation. Reservation, table, booth, a host or hostess, menu, appetizer, emirate, main course, main course, main try, maybe. Well, yeah, baba kung, baba, what do you call that? Not baba, but yeah, bill, tip, receipt, credit card, and cash. Fork, knife, spoon, napkin, plate. Beverage, sparkling water, still water, juice, and alcohol. Appetizer, entree, main course, dessert, and I said I was special. Lastly, this reservation, travel, street word, hotel host or hostess, they just immediately say they know each other. Are we all fine with that? Because being able to use these terms correctly will ensure that you can enjoy your dining experience safely and accordingly to your dietary needs and preferences. Now let's practice saying them, of course. I'll say each one again, and then please type in the chat as you pronounce it silently or aloud. Are we clear on that? Okay, I guess everyone's clear. Everything's clear. So these are the words that we have, that are on my ankle. Okay, you use their engagement to really read this one because it's more of references. Okay, all right, everyone, we've come to the end of our lesson um on the pronunciation of key travel phrases and vocabulary for ordering food and drinks. Well, we're just focused on the latter part, but yeah, I'd like to give him credit. I hope you found this session helpful and that you now feel more confident in pronouncing these essential items. What do you mean? Are we just gonna stand here? Are we just gonna sit here and then wait for her to be fast. Okay. All right. All right, everyone. Okay, give yourself a pat. You did a great job. Well, we have come to the end of our lesson on the pronunciation of key travel phrases and vocabulary for ordering food and drinks. I hope you found this session helpful and that you now feel more confident in producing and producing sounds for these essential terms. We've covered a lot today, from seating and reservation terms to food categories, thanks, drinks, utensils, payment, and even dietary needs. Remember that consistent practice is key to improving your pronunciation. So I encourage you to review these words and phrases and try to use them to understand the person you like the most. So you have an opportunity there. Why don't you do it with me? Okay. We have the next to this is um, the title track itself, Gnarly. I hope this lesson will make your dining experiences even more enjoyable, wherever your travels take you. So to go out here, go out there, try some delicious local food, order your favorite drinks with confidence, and don't hesitate to go out there and try them. Or am I just seeing things? Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. Mm-hmm. All right. Very good, everyone. Review these words and phrases consistently. That's a practice. That's a practice you need to do. Okay. Well, the most important thing here is to keep practicing, as I've mentioned, to focus opportunity, even if it's just yourself. All right. Don't be afraid to make any mistakes. We try to do that. Do not be afraid of mistakes because it's a natural part of learning. The important thing here is to keep practicing and to focus those pronunciation tips we have discussed. All right? Are we good with that? Thank you for all your active participation in the chat or in personal. Your questions and your willingness to real life is Irie. Irie. Sorry, what's Irie? Irie. Sorry for that. But yeah, I hope this lesson makes your dining experiences even more enjoyable, wherever your travels take you. Go out there, try some delicious local food, order your favorite drinks with confidence, and drink. Don't hesitate to use the English you've learned today, okay? Try to use it more naturally. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's a natural part of learning. All right? I hope this lesson will make your dining experiences even more enjoyable whenever you truck outside. Thank you all for your active participation in the chat. Your questions and your willingness to practice are what makes these sessions, very engaging, right? Well, for a moment, yeah. Well, we will be continuing our English for Travel series with a lesson on emergencies while traveling next time, which will cover important vocabulary and phrases for unexpected situations. I hope to see you there. Well, so far, for our English for Travel series, we've already talked about airport vocabulary, the hotel check-in vocabulary, public transport, pronunciation, which was discussed yesterday, and for today, ordering food and drinks. So there's only two more two more left. I'm sorry for that. Why am I thinking of left? But yeah, left, two more left. Maybe we're gonna use lift and elevator to be much faster. Okay, very good. No. Okay, let's just go down. Let's just go upstairs. So, this is a very important left. Okay, this is my last slide. So, um, thank you for all your active participation. Well, for this one, it might be unexpected to everyone, but I've already known Nax, so I've already known those people. So it's because I am really not that good with English. I'm not that good, but I enrolled and then I discovered different kinds of activities. We usually do that. Now here, they just let your hair free fall. Well, I've already mentioned about anything that I need to mention. In the meantime, happy travels and happy seeing. So, if you have any last minute questions, feel free to type them in the chat now. Any questions or any clarifications that you would like to ask? I guess not. I guess not. Am I correct? Right, I guess not. So in the meantime, happy travels and happy eating, everyone. If you have any last minute questions, feel free to type them in the chat. It will always be open. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day or your evening. Goodbye, everyone.